ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ Hukamnama today is on Ang 632 of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji by Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji Maharaj Vaheguru Sahib Ji Sorath Mahalla Nawa Man re Prabh ki saran bicharo Jih simrat gan ka si udhari ताको जासो उर तारो मान रे प्रभ की सरन बिचारो जिह सिमरत गन कासी उतरी ताको जस उर तारो रहाओ अटल भयो ध्रू जाकै सिमरन आरो निर्भय पद पाया दुख हरता एह बिद को स्वामी तै काहे बिसराया जब ही सरन गही कृपा निदे गज ग्रह ते छूटा महमा नाम कहा लो बरना राम कहत बंतन तेह टूटा अजामल पापी जग जाने निमख माहे निस्तारा नानक कहत चेत चिंतामन तै पी उतरह पारा अजामल पापी जग जाने निमख माहे निस्तारा नानक कहत चेत चिंतामन तै पी उतरह पारा Satguru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji Maharaj today is explaining to us and giving examples as Sadguru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj explains on Ang 1192 of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Guru Maharaj Ji says, Sun Sakhi Man Jap Pyar, listen to the stories of the saints and the devotees and Jap Pyar, inspire, be inspired to Jap Pyar, meditate yourself with loving devotion on Vaheguru. Guru Sahib Ji Maharaj in today's Hukuna is going to give us many stories. And Satguru Pasha Ji is saying to us, take inspiration from these stories to meditate upon the Naam. That is the point of the story being told of Guru Sahib Ji relating to us all these ways in which Guru Sahib Ji, in which Vaheguru Ji, Lord God, saved devotees in the past and purified the sinners. The idea is to instill within us faith and to instill within us that love in order that we too would also meditate upon the Lord. Guru Sahib Ji begins the Shabad, Man re, O my mind, Prabh ki saran bicharo, contemplate, think about, understand, and take this idea, this bicharo into your mind. Prabh ki saran, enter into the saran, the protection of Prabh of Vaheguru. Jih simrat Ganika si udri, and now Guru Sahib Ji begins to give us examples after giving us the crux of the Shabad. Prabh ki saran bicharo, to contemplate the protection of God. Why? Guru Sahib Ji says, Jeh Simrat Ganika si Udri, by Simrat, by meditating upon Vaheguru. Ganika, the prostitute, Udri, was saved, was liberated. Tako jas urtaro, take that Vaheguru Ji's just name, glory, virtue, remembrance, ur, into your heart. Taro means to embed. Embed that within your ur, within the very heart of your soul. Guru Sahib Ji is giving us the example of Ganika here. Ganika's story is related to us in more detail by Bhai Gurdas Sahib Ji. Bhai Gurdas Ji explains to us that Ganika papan hoye ke papa da galhar parota. And for more information regarding Ganika, we can look at this var by Bhai Gurdas Ji. And Bhai Gurdas Ji saying, Ganika was such a sinner. Her job was that of a prostitute, and she accumulated so much sin that it was as if she was wearing sin around her neck as a necklace. That's how much sin she'd got together day in, day out, working as a prostitute. She'd accumulated so much sin. And Bhai Sahib Ji explains to us that one day due to some good action in a past life, due to some blessed action of her past life, a Mahapurukh, a great blessed saintly soul, found no other place of rest and stood in the courtyard of Ganika and asked for a place to spend some time to rest and for something to eat. And Ganika served the saint. She made him food, gave him a place to rest. And the saint saw that she was engrossed in evil ways and decided to save her. And how did he do this? With him he had a parakeet, which is a green bird, which can still be found in Punjab. It's called a tota in Punjabi. And he gave this parakeet to Ganika and he said, every day, I can't look after this parakeet, you look after him. Every day, after having a bath yourself, bathe him as well, and sit down every morning, early morning, before the sun comes up, and get him to repeat Ram Ram, the name of God, every day. And he said, will you do this? She said, yes. So every day she would bathe and she would go up to the parakeet and say, Bol Ram Ram, say the name Ram, say the name of God. And every day she did this, every day. And after doing this for many days, after doing this for much time, the day came when the name of God enshrined itself within her heart. She was purified. She gave up her sins. She gave up her sinful ways. She gave up her evil ways. And she was cleansed from inside and out, just by repeating the name of God. This is why the first command of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is simply jap, meditate. That one word, jap, which comes in the Mool Mantra at the beginning of Japji Sahib, at the beginning of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. That simple command of Guru Nanak is jap, just meditate. Through meditation you will realize. Through remembrance you will realize your soul. And Ganika was cleansed and purified through meditation. And it is said by Bhai Gurdas Ji that when she died, she was taken up to the heavens. She wasn't cast down into hell. She was taken up to the heavens by the angelic beings. All of her sins had been washed away. All of that filth of her character had been washed away. Internally her sins were purified, and externally she gave up committing any more misdeeds, misdemeanors. And Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji Maharaj is saying to us, look at her. The one, and remember the one who saved her, Tako Jas Urtaro, take his just, take his remembrance, and enshrine it, embed it within your aura, within your heart. Again, going back to the first line, Manre Prabh ki sarna bicharo. Enter into the protection of God. As he saved Ganika, so he will save you. Rahul Guruji says, pause and think about this line. Atal payo Dhroo jaake simran, ar nirpay pad paya. Bhagt Dhroo, Guru Sahib Ji saying, became atal, became immortal through simran, through meditation upon God. Ar nirpay pad paya, and he achieved the pad, the state of nirpay, of no fear, of fearlessness. Satguru Pasha Ji, Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji, in their second example, again we can find this story in Bhai Gurdas Ji Di Anwara, and Bhai Gurdas Ji tells us about Dhroo, who was a 5-year-old child, and he was the son of a king. And Bhai Gurdas Ji begins their var with Dhroo hasda kar aaya, kar pyar pyo ko chhad lita. The Bhagt Dhroo, the age of 5, after playing with his friends, came back to the palace and was laughing and ran into the laps of his father. And his stepmother pulled him out, snatched him out from the laps of his father, and said, if you wanted to sit in the laps of your father, you should have been my son. He went crying to his mother and he said, Mother, are you a maid, are you a servant, or are you a queen? And his mum said, I'm a queen, but I'm getting dishonored and disrespected. Why? Because I haven't meditated upon God. She could have instilled anger and fear and hatred into Dhroo's heart, but she didn't. She said, look son, it's because I didn't meditate upon God. It's because I didn't do Naam Simran. And Dhroo asked her, how can I win over the kingdom? How can I make all my enemies into my friends? And she said, you must meditate upon God. And at that moment, at the age of 5, he left the palaces, went into the jungles, and he met the holy man Narad. And Narad Muni, the holy man, instructed him to meditate upon the Naam, the name of God. And one day, many years after meditating, his father came and offered the whole kingdom, which was near where current day Agra and Mathura are in India, to Dhroo. Not only was he offered the kingdom, but through meditation, Bhakt Dhroo transcended all worldly kingdoms and entered into the kingdom of God. He achieved Brahmagyan, complete knowledge of God. And we are told in Gurbani, Ram japo ji aise meditate upon God like this, Dhroo Prahlad japyo har jaise, like Bhakt Dhroo and Bhakt Prahlad meditated upon God. Guru Sahib is giving us now the example of that 5-year-old and saying, look at that 5-year-old. Through meditation he was made immortal and fearless. Again, going back to the line at the beginning, Manre Prabhu ki saran vicharo, Guruji is giving us these examples so that we enter into the protection of God. Dukharta ihbid ko swami. In this way, my Swami, my Lord, ihbid means in this way, my Swami, my Lord, Harta, destroyed the dukh, the pain of Dhroo, the pain of, and the sin of Ganika. Ta kahe bisraya. And Guru Tegh Bahadur is saying to us, why have you, kahe, why have you, ta, bisraya, forgotten him? That great Lord, who saved Ganika and made Dhroo immortal. Now comes the third example. Jab hi sarn gahi kirpanid. Gaj grahate shuta. The Gaj, the elephant, was shuta, was saved from the graha, from the crocodile, when he entered into the saran, the protection of Kirpanid, the ocean of mercy, Vaheguru, the ocean of grace, Vaheguru. Now the story of the elephant is thus. There were 2 brothers, and one day a saint called Chintaamani was meditating in a jungle. And one of the brothers rode into that part of the jungle that the saint had looked after, all the flowers and all the plants, on an elephant. And when one of the brothers came there on an elephant, Chintaamani was sitting there meditating. And one of the brothers rode round the whole of that garden, the whole of that jungle, and broke all of the flowers, trashed everything. And Chintaamani, when he opened his eyes, said, "O being, O human, O man, you evil being, you trashed all of these plants. And for doing this, and for destroying God's beauty, you will become an elephant in your next life." And the next day, when Chintaamani went to do his Shnan, went to have his early morning bath, the other brother hid in the water, underwater. And when Chintaamani put his feet into the water, he got hold of the ankle of Chintaamani, and Chintaamani cried out, "Oh, there's a crocodile, oh, there's a crocodile." And then he came out of the water laughing at Chintaamani. And Chintaamani said, "For doing this, in your next life, you will become a crocodile." And another story linked to this is that the 2 brothers, when their father died, the older brother took the lion's share of the inheritance and gave a pittance next to nothing to the younger brother. And the younger brother said to the older brother, "You will become an elephant in your next life, you greedy soul." And the older brother looked back to the younger brother and said, "If I will become an elephant, you will become a crocodile." And the younger brother laughed and said, "I will hunt you down in my next life. If I'm going to be a crocodile, I will hunt you down." And one day, that day came when the elephant went into the swamp where the crocodile lived. And when the elephant went into the swamp, the crocodile wrapped its jaws around the elephant and dragged him down deeper into the water. And the elephant, at this point, the only thing above the water was its trunk. And in its trunk it grabbed hold of a flower which was floating on the surface of the water, and held it up to the skies, to the heavens, and said in its heart, "O God, only you can save me now." And it said at that point that God sent down a divine weapon called the Sudarshan Chakra, which is like the steel quoits that we see that Singhs wear on the stars on their turbans. It's like that. It's a divine weapon. And it said that God freed the elephant from the clutches of the crocodile with the Sudarshan Chakra. And Guruji saying to us, Guruji saying, "O human being, that elephant was saved from the Garaha, from the crocodile, by remembering God. In the same way you can be saved." Guruji saying to us, and if we relate it to us, the elephant is our mind. We are the elephant. And the quagmire, the swamp, is of this world. And within this world, there is the crocodile of ignorance. And that ignorance of spiritual wisdom, that ignorance of love, that ignorance of forgiveness, that ignorance of God, it wraps itself around us and it drags us down. But Guruji is saying to us, all we have to do is take the flower of faith into our trunk, hold it up and pray to Vaheguru, ask for the protection. Again, going back to the beginning, the first line of the Shabad, Manare Prabh ki saran bicharo. All we have to do is cry out for that protection, and God will bless us with the Sudarshan Chakra, the divine weapon of His Naam, and will cut away all of the entanglements to this world that are pulling us down into this swamp. So Guru Sahib Ji says, Mehma Naam kahan lo barna. How can I barna? How can I describe the Mehma, the greatness of Naam, the name of God? It goes beyond all description. Ram kahat bandhan teh tuta. By meditating upon Ram, the name of God, all of your bandhan, all of your prisons and cages and all of your chains and all of your entanglements will be tuta, will be broken. And Guruji goes to give us the last example in this line. Guru Sahib Ji says, Ajaamal papi jag janne nimak mahe nistara. Guru Sahib Ji says that the jag, the whole world janne, knows that Ajaamal was a papi, was a sinner. Nimak mahe nistara, and even he was nistara, saved within nimak, within an instant. And the story of Ajaamal goes thus: that Ajaamal was the son of a Hindu priest, a Brahman, a high caste Hindu. And he used to study from another Brahman, another Hindu priest. And the short way of getting from his house to his teacher's place was through a bazaar, through a market, where the Vesava, where the prostitutes lived. And the long way was going around and avoiding that market. And his teacher and his father both used to say to him, never go through that market. Always take the long way. And whilst he was learning, he always took the long way. He never went through that market. One day when he came to age, 18, 19 years old, he was summoned by the king to perform katha, perform religious discourse in the court. And both his teacher and his father warned him, do not sit in the court of the king after you've performed your discourse, after you've performed your sermon. Do your teachings and then leave, because in the court of kings many things go on. And when he was about to pack up his religious scriptures and leave, he decided to wait a while. He forgot what his father and what his teacher had said. And into the court of the king came a dancing girl, a prostitute, and she danced. And he watched this dance, and his mind was engrossed with lust. And following her afterwards, he walked through the marketplace where all the prostitutes lived. And hearing this, the king said, oh, my priest has been defiled. He can no longer be the priest of the royal family, and he was kicked out of the kingdom. And that slave girl, that dancing girl who he'd seen dancing, the prostitute, who he went looking for, she also left. And they were both banished, and they had to live in the wilderness. And when they were living in the wilderness, all they could eat was wild animals. They used to capture wild animals and eat them. And one day, a holy man knocked on their door and said, I need shelter for the night. and I need food. So all they had was chickpeas. They made chickpeas for the holy man, gave him a place to stay, served him. And the holy man asked the story of Ajaamal, and Ajaamal told him the whole story. And he said, right, when your 7th son is born, name him Narayan, the name of the Lord, one of the names of God. And Ajaamal said, okay, I will do this. And when Ajaamal was about to die, he started calling out Narayan, 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 because he was calling out for his son. But whilst he was calling out for his son, suddenly his focus on his deathbed went from his son and into God, and he started calling out to God. And in that last minute, in that last instant, he called out for God, and God saved him. And he did not have to suffer through reincarnation. He was not taken down into the hells. Instead, he was bared up to the heavens by the angelic beings. Sadhguru Pash said, he gives us his example as well and said, Ajaamal papi jag jane, even the whole world knew him to be a sinner. Nimak mind is that even he was saved in an instant by attaching his by attaching his consciousness and his focus to God. And Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib says, Nanak kahat, chet Chintaamani, remember that Vaheguru who gives you everything that you desire for, tapi uttaraha para, and even you will be uttaraha para, even you will be saved, and you should be carried across this ocean of the world. And the main basis of this Shabad is the first line, Man re, oh my mind, Prabh ki saran vicharo. No matter what our pain is, no matter what our torments are, spiritual, physical or mental, the only place, the only way of gaining true eternal peace is through the name of God. And that is what Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib is telling us today, through the story of Ganika the prostitute, through the story of Ganika who was saved and who was liberated and who gave up her evil ways, through the story of Ganika, through the story of Bhagat Dhroo, through the story of the elephant and the crocodile, and through the story of Ajaamal. So, may Guru Sahib do grace upon us, Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji, that we take those stories and we understand them for what they are. And we understand and we take inspiration that if God can save Ajaamal, can save Ganika, can save the Gaj, the elephant, and if Vaheguruji was the one who made Dhroo immortal, then we also must grab hold of God's name and take it within our hearts, for it will save us. Ajaamal papi jag jane, nimakh mahe nistara, Nanak kahat chet Chintaamani, tੈ ਭੀ ਉਤਰਹਿ ਪਾਰਾ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।